16th of November. Let's fucking go. Alright. Let everybody get in here. Let's go. Short answer is boot camp. Yes, that's true. But there is a long answer too. There's actually a two-part answer, which is what this is going to be about. So, let's see. This is cycle. Okay. All right. Let's go. Everybody should be in by now. Should be all ready. Let's do it. I see Goat is performing well today. Probably give some continuation to the AI meme coin meta for now. Waiting for that Binance spot listing. XRP continues to move. A lot of rumors about crypto policy in the US being shaped by people from Ripple, people from Cardano. Obviously, Charles from Cardano has talked about advising the government. This would be a terrible thing for the actual state of crypto, but a great thing for our bags, essentially. They're just prioritizing pumping the market rather than anything long term. But that's a topic for another day. G fucking M. Okay. Is the answer don't hold XRP? Yes, pretty much. Don't buy into short-term hype and understand cause and effect. Okay, right. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. Your friend wants to buy XRP. Yeah, very good. Clear sign that he shouldn't. So, I guess I'll briefly rant before this. Things like this, look, you can know that something is a bad investment and also trade it. You can also understand that stuff goes up no matter what. Okay? Everything will move up eventually. That does not make it good. Do not equate coin goes up with coin is good. That's literally the opposite way to do it. Unless you are clearly trading momentum. If you're a trader who is focusing predominantly on something shorter term, now short term can still be multiple weeks, but most people don't view crypto this way. So when you hear your friend or someone you know, or your fucking barber, or your grandmother, or your neighbor's dog talking about, should I buy this crypto? They are not asking you, should I take a swing trade for 2 weeks? They're literally saying, should I buy these coins and then forget about them for years? So that's why you can see something like Ripple or Cardano or whatever having a nice move, right? Having a multi-week trend where they go up a lot and yet still underperforming everything thereafter. They can go up lots. I mean, everything does at some point. There's a big difference between whether something is a good investment or if something is a good time to buy and hold, or if it's not. Now, just by a cycle basis, and so you can know for today, this weekend workshop is so big that it's 2 parts. Part 1 is today, part 2 is tomorrow. I'm not going to make you wait till next week for part 2. Because it's timely. It's about how to play the crypto cycle that we're currently in right now. And so we start off with how to think long term and then how to play the crypto market cycle. But a little thing I want to say on that, it's mostly going to be the thing for tomorrow. This is not the phase of the market where you can buy and hold for years. The time to buy and hold crypto for years was 2022. And maybe early 2023. Okay? You have to be rational and level-headed about it. This is not a comment on Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin is very possibly in a super cycle, meaning it will go down, but it will more so have consolidations with 30 or 40 or 50% declines from higher levels, rather than the big crashing bear markets that we've seen. But altcoins will absolutely have the big crashing bear markets that we've always seen. And to think then that, almost over 2 years, well, exactly 2 years from the bottom, that it's a good time to long-term invest into altcoins that are already up a lot, it's generally not, right? But at the same time, it's like this is the period. So if we're talking like in phases, phase 2, which I've mentioned a little bit, which just essentially means the second big bullish wave within a confirmed bull market. Our fully confirmed bull market started in October or February, depending on which one you want to say. But October 2023, when we started to break out, and then all the way through the ETF into January, February, that 6-month trend, where it went up from October to March, and then altcoins went for a month after, meme coins and that was your first actual bull market wave. You can take that from me. That's a fact. That's correct. I know it's hard to actually define what a bull market is, because everyone has different definitions. Having been through enough bullish and bearish markets, I can tell you that nothing that happened in early or mid 2023 was a bull market. I can tell you that for certain, even though Bitcoin went from 15 to 30. So it did go up, right? The bottom can be in without the bull market having begun. It's a recovery / reaccumulation. But there's a very clear change in momentum, in the activity in the market, in the sentiment. And we 100% saw all of that in the start of this year and late last year, right? So that was the first wave. Now, a lot of times you will have 3 distinct phases. I would keep it separate, because calling it 3 distinct waves or trend legs can oftentimes lead people. If you think about it in terms of 3 legs, oftentimes that can trap people into thinking it must go higher. So if you say this is like phase 1 of the bull market and this is phase 2, what people will always think is that it's going to look like this, right? And you're going to have 1, 2, and 3. And that's not how it goes all the time, or necessarily at all. Like I mentioned with last bull market, we had the first phase on BTC, which was really for the entire market. That was from the COVID recovery up into the January, or up into the, all-time high. And then we had a second sort of wave up into the May highs. And then we had a third wave, which was, for Bitcoin, it was just a corrective bounce. It was like a bounce into a retest of the highs. But Solana, altcoins, all that stuff went pretty crazy, right? And it's because there are catalysts. There must be catalysts. The catalyst for this was the massive money printing after COVID. The catalyst for this was the classic all-time high breakout plus institutional FOMO and Michael Saylor and blah, blah, blah. And then Elon Musk jumped in. And then the catalyst for this was the Bitcoin futures ETF trade. And the culmination of a COVID bubble across all stock market, as well as crypto and everything else. So there were 3 distinct bullish phases here, right? Each characterized by the market rising. Okay, so higher highs, higher lows, and rising. Higher highs, higher lows, and rising. Higher highs, higher lows, and rising. And of course, if you go over to altcoins, they were going even more crazy over here. And if you go over here in May, when Bitcoin was topping, altcoins were going wild. That's what happens. That's alt season. But you understand now that there were 3 clear phases here, but it did not look like the way you would imagine it on a chart, where it's up, consolidate, up, consolidate, up, consolidate. Things don't tend to go like that. So while I talk about there being 3 distinct phases within this bull market, and the fact that we are most likely going into phase 2, because this was phase 1, and the reason that this was phase 1, the last bull market, the phase of it began off the lows, but that was not the bottom of the bull market in terms of price or sentiment. The bear market ended here in December 18, And then we had the recovery period and it came all the way back, and after the COVID crash. So you'd had this recovery period, we got the COVID crash, and that's when the bull market proper began. The bull market proper happened to begin from a crash in 2020 because we had a crash, because we had COVID. You don't always get that. Just like this one. This bull market began properly with the ETF rally, and the bear market ended with the FTX collapse. And everything that was in between was recovery. Price went up, yes, but it's just like it did in 2019. It doesn't mean it's a new bull market, just like 2019 didn't mean it was a new bull market. The new bull market began either when you break above 2019 highs, or in this case, when they start printing shitloads of money, which is an external factor that, you can't account for until it happens. That's not happening here. We also didn't have any crash. We had a little scare in March of 2023. Proper bull market began on this breakout here, phase 1. We clearly have the catalyst of phase 1, which is the Bitcoin ETF, which is here. BlackRock applied here, and the rally proper began there. And phase 2, which you can very clearly see, this is not fake, this is real, this is an actual breakout, the election, the Trump trade, all of that. And not just the trade itself, and this is where people are going to fuck themselves up. The Trump trade is probably priced in, right? So the actual effect of the elections and the magnitude of the move so far where it's reached to would not surprise me whatsoever if this was as far as it went on this push. That's not the same as this trade or this leg or this phase ending. The first part of the breakout, the catalyst that led to the breakout, is probably running close to running out of steam. But it's no different to how phase 2 was in 2020, right? Everything will change, of course. The market will not look the exact same. It never does. And this isn't even the weekend workshop, by the way, so it's a rant that needs to happen. This is probably actually more for tomorrow. But anyway, we'll rant. So if you look at it in a simple sense, and if you expect that the market is going to roughly repeat what it has done before, because it actually does for Bitcoin. Now, when I say roughly repeat, we're talking about cycles of time, the phases, and psychology. We're not talking about repeating in price or fractals or anything like that. But if you look at the magnitude of the moves, we had an all-time high breakout in 2020, which happened in December of 2020. That's important because we do follow a rough 4-year cycle. This time, we had an all-time high breakout in November of 2024. So almost exactly 4 years later. But if you're going off the 4-year cycle, slightly ahead of schedule. I've talked about this over the past several weeks, that everything about this cycle has been ahead of schedule because of the ETFs. The ETFs pushed us towards all-time high in March, but it was way too soon. We never hit all-time high before the halving. So we touched all-time high. We went into an 8-month consolidation. That allowed the market cycle to catch up. We reached the period now, September, October, November, December of the halving year. Post-halving, 6 months post-halving, when Bitcoin tends to moon. What happens? Bitcoin moons. It moons maybe a month early because of the elections, because the catalyst was perfect in timing in terms of, the catalyst was so big that you couldn't beat it. So what we had, in both examples, very similar, is we did have a consolidation below the all-time high resistance. Okay, so we have had cause and effect. We have had a cause built below the all-time high. To an extent where I would say there's not much reason why Bitcoin would need to go back below there. Nothing's impossible, but it would take a black swan for Bitcoin to go back below that level by now. In each case, roughly the same. We spent 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on which cycle it was, below the all-time high. We then broke out. We're now having the first consolidation post-breakout. Now, I don't think that this needs to happen, okay? But if you actually understand how momentum and parabolas work, it's far more likely that Bitcoin would go to, let's call it 120. It's far more likely they would actually do it in the next 2 weeks than it would over the next 2 months. That's the nature of how this works. Because of how a parabolic move happens, it is far more likely to do all of the upwards movement in a short space of time. As momentum kicks in, shorts have to close, people come in and chase it, People who want to buy the dip can't get in. It front runs everyone. People say, I'll buy the 85k correction. It doesn't come. It goes to 95. It goes to 100. It goes 105. They have no option other than to either sit on the sidelines or get in. Then it tops faster than people think. And it goes into a lengthy period of consolidation, much longer than the trend that preceded it, right? Which last time we had a relatively shallow one because we then got the Tesla candle. I think this time we'll probably have more of a consolidation as Bitcoin is bigger. It's a bigger asset. If it has the move. This is, again, you don't even have to look that much further than gold to understand how these type of moves happen. The cause that gets built, right? The consolidation is lengthy. This is 7 or 8 months. Okay. When it breaks out, it will not stop until it's done. To think that, and by the way, this is the consolidation.